Hey, what is going on, guys? The SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and we got some sad news, guys. NFL legend, Green Bay Packer legend, my Green Bay Packers, um, quarterback Bart Starr has passed away um, today. We all know for a while he's been dealing with a lot of illness issues. But the realization that he's gone now kind of sucks. Um, this guy, Bart Starr is a legend. He is a legend. This man, not many people really talk about Bart Starr as among one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but they really should. Um, this guy had 5 world championships in the 60s, 3 straight, which no quarterback has done since, by the way. From 65 to 67, he won 3 consecutive world titles, um, as well as the first 2 Super Bowls during that stretch, and won Super Bowl MVP for 1 and 2. Um, I was NFL.com was bringing up these stats, which honestly they should have been bringing these up years ago, because not many people talk about the what this guy has done, in terms of compared to the quarterbacks of today. And we're looking at some of the things that they were showing on the NFL, like highest postseason passing rating since 1950, and Bart Starr was at a 104.8 compared to guys like Kurt Warner, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, the modern day starting quarterback for the Packers. Kurt Warner only had a 102.8. Matt Ryan had 100.8. Drew Brees has 100.0, and Aaron Rodgers has a 99.4. Bart Starr to this day still has a better postseason passer rating than all these quarterbacks that are in the NFL today. By the way, highest winning percentage. Bart Starr's 9-1. Now I know some people are going to look at this and say, well, Bart Starr didn't have to play as many playoff games as the NFL teams of today. But if you look at the competitions that they had to go up against, all the running teams, as well as not to mention Johnny Unitas. Johnny Unitas was in the Green Bay Packers, or the not the Baltimore Colts with Johnny Unitas. He was in the same conference as the Green Bay Packers were before the merger. And in the 60s, they had to go up against those guys to qualify for the NFL titles every year. Yeah, that guy, the guy who was changing the passing game in the 60s. Yeah, Bart Starr and the Packers, they were beating those teams, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. So they were going up against stiff competition. They were going up against Unitas, who's passing league in itself. They were going up against a lot of competition that a lot of people don't seem to understand. They were going up against Unitas. They're obviously Jim Brown. They went up against in the '65 NFL championship game. They're in the Eastern Conference at the time. Obviously the Bears rivalry in itself. That was when in the '60s. That was when it was an actual rivalry, because the Bears were the Bears were a much better team than they are currently. So it was a much better rivalry game. So we had to go up against the Bears for just to qualify because they were in the same division as us. You know, and obviously they ended up going up against the AFL teams in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs and the Raiders. Raiders had only lost one game in '67, and we beat them badly. You know, so a lot of competition that Bart Starr had to go up against, and a lot of people just kind of sweep it under the rug because it's during those times the Packers as well as all the other teams they were mostly running the ball most of the time, so a lot of people look at it like, oh well, running, it was more of a running league, they didn't pass the ball as much, but it was much harder. The footballs were harder to throw. Back then. Not to mention the rules were different. Like, Tom Brady, if he had played in the '60s era, man, he'd be getting injured because he wouldn't be getting all those referees, coming in there and being like, oh, you got to protect the quarterback and all that shit. No. In Bart Starr's era, they didn't have that shit. Okay, where they were protecting the quarterback, they weren't protecting shit. Okay, if you go back and watch those old highlight games, they freaking they'll take the football from the whoever's holding it, and then they'll just go to the next play. Like you watch any of those. Sorry about that. If you go back and watch any of the old highlight games, you'll see that none of these people none of these referees gave a shit back then. Like, they were just like, take the ball, let's get to the next play. That's what they did back in those days. Okay, Bart Starr, one of the most underrated quarterbacks, today, because, not many people understand, that the stats back then were a lot, greater than they are compared to today. Today's stats are kind of taken for granted because it's so much a passing game these days. Where back in those days, they just weren't. It wasn't like that back then. Bart Starr, I feel like, his legend is just great, Hall of Famer. And also, not to mention, he was a great person off the field. I never got to meet Bart Starr, but I would have loved to have met him. Especially from all the good things I heard about Bart Starr. It's just really unfortunate that he's gone, because he was definitely a role model to a lot of those younger Green Bay Packers. He was always there. He was there for Brett Favre's Packers Hall of Fame induction ceremony thing a couple of years ago, which he pushed himself to go see that, which the effort to do that, I think, was just great in itself. Yeah, guys, it's just really sad. See this guy gone now. Definitely one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Until Tom Brady won that 6th Super Bowl this year, which was a shit bowl, in my opinion. Bart Starr had the most world championship wins out of everyone. He had 5. Tom Brady obviously had tied it. He tied it with Atlanta, the Atlanta Super Bowl, but broke it this year. But I mean, it was a kind of crap bowl anyways, and it was mainly because the Saints should have been in there. As we all know, the refs screwed the Saints out of that one. But the team, the team, if we're gonna talk about great quarterbacks, this man is got to be right up there because he, like I said, he's done things that none of these quarterbacks have ever done. None of these quarterbacks, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Troy Aikman, all, even Brett Favre, my favorite quarterback of all time, Brett Favre, none of these quarterbacks have done what Bart Starr did. He won 3 consecutive world championships. 3 consecutive world championships. You know, no one's done that. 5 of them in the 60s. Probably could have won more had it not been for the Golden Boy with his gambling problem, as we all know. He probably could have won could have won another one. Quite frankly, as we all know, the Golden Boy got suspended for a season for gambling. Probably could have won another had that not happened. Also, he was in a championship game in 1960, which they lost 17-13 to the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. That was their first and only. That was Bart Starr's first and only playoff loss. Was that NFL title game in 1960, their first one, which they lost in Philadelphia by literally 2 yards. They lost by 2 yards. They were like on the goal line, and they lost 17-13. So after that, they won every championship that they were in. Every championship game that they were in, they won after that. So his feats and accomplishments speak for itself. People really need to start talking about Bart Starr more in terms of being in one of those all-time, great lists. Because I don't hear about Bart Starr in those lists anymore, or I never really have. But he really should be. If you go through his stats, you actually go through and look through all the stuff he's done compared to the quarterbacks of today, and none of these quarterbacks are ever going to three-peat. Okay, Tom Brady had the best chance, and he failed by losing to the Eagles a couple years ago. They would have if they hadn't lost to the Philadelphia Eagles last year. This guy, man, he won 3 consecutive. He won 3 consecutive championships. I don't think anybody is going to win 3 consecutive championships. The way the game is run. The only person who could probably do it is Tom Brady, and I don't think he's even going to do it because I don't think Tom Brady is going to win another Super Bowl. I really don't. I think they're going to be contenders, but I do not think they're going to win another one. I think he's going to be a contender this year, but I don't think he's going to win it. I don't think he's going to win it this year. Bart Starr, I think that record's going to stay. 5 championships in an era when the passing league was not as significant as it is today. Just amazing. So that's what I think, guys. Everyone's sad about this. I'm upset about it. I hope you all upset about it, and let me know what you guys think. If you have any good memories of Bart Starr, I'm sure most people that are my viewers, that are my subscribers right now, are probably around my age. So we all, didn't grow up with Bart Starr, obviously. Most of us seen Bart Starr from NFL film highlights. I'm sure I'm not going to get, some of the people that actually grew up with him, to talk about it. But I mean, if I do, let me know what your memories are of him. And like I said, great quarterback, one of the all-time greats for sure. And let me know what you guys think, guys. I'm out. Comment, rate, and Wilson Paul, rest in peace, Bart Starr, one last time. We will miss you. I am the SS Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace for number 15.